On this episode of China Uncensored, the next Batman supervillain, China's Zhou Yongkang. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your game master, Chris Chappell. Well, I told you it would happen, and it did. The trial of Bo Xilai is becoming just a segue into taking down the big fish, Zhou Yongkang. If you've forgotten who the players are, Bo Xilai was a rising star in Chinese politics who also really liked terrorizing journalists and lawyers and throwing countless citizens in jail without an ounce of due process. He also very possibly oversaw the forced organ harvesting of still-living prisoners of conscience and may have plotted a coup against then-leader-to-be Xi Jinping. Of course, he hasn't been put on trial for any of that because that would make the party look bad. No, he's only being tried for corruption, bribery, and abuse of power. Individual crimes that can't possibly reflect on the party. In fact, what a good thing it is the party is bringing him down. But then there's also this guy, Zhou Yongkang. Under Hu Jintao's tenure as leader of the Chinese Communist Party, Zhou was one of the 9 members of the Politburo Standing Committee, basically the old Chinese dudes who have total power. And he had been a big backer of Bo because the two of them and several other former Chinese officials were knee-deep in some pretty horrid crimes against the Chinese people. Now suddenly, Zhou's been put under investigation, according to South China Morning Post. Zhou Yongkang has long been what's known in Chinese politics as a people's person. That is, he's a person who spends lots of his time torturing people. Until last November, Zhou was the official head of the Chinese Communist Party's enormously powerful Political and Legislative Affairs Committee. Don't let the name fool you, though. The politics part is mainly about suppressing any group that opposes the party, and the law part is more or less about intimidating lawyers and judges to stop them from doing anything crazy like defending dissidents in court. As the head of the PLAC, Zhou was in charge of China's Ministry of Public Security, the vast network of police, paramilitary police, secret police, dream police, and these girls. He was also able to consistently get a bigger budget than the army. In 2012, the Ministry of Public Security had a budget of $124 billion, about $10 billion more than the army. Clearly, the Chinese government is fighting a domestic war. The party also has some infighting going on. You see, basically there are 2 major political factions in the Chinese Communist Party right now, one with ties to Hu Jintao and Wen Jiabao, and the other headed by former Chinese leader Jiang Zemin, with, you guessed it, Zhou Yongkang and Bo Xilai as allies. Where current Chinese leader Xi Jinping fits in is a little unclear at the moment. So as security czar, Zhou had a lot of muscle behind him and few could challenge him. But so if you're Hu and Wen, how do you take down a guy like that? Besides controlling a vast network of secret police and spies, there's basically been a de facto agreement between China's top leaders that they wouldn't investigate each other. They used to, back in the Cultural Revolution, but that basically meant they spent so much time killing each other and stepping on the next jerk to climb up the ranks that things became a little too unstable. So after the execution of the Gang of Four that marked the end of the Cultural Revolution, top leaders were off limits. At least officially. But you gotta figure, Zhou must really like power. He also needs to hold on to power just in case anyone would like to take him and his buddies down by using their crimes against humanity against them, so he needs to have enough clout to prevent that. But here he was, forced to retire at the end of last year because of his age. Wouldn't it be nice if there was some rising star in the Communist Party, someone like Bo Xilai, who just happened to owe his allegiance to Zhou, who could replace him on the Politburo Standing Committee, and from there, maybe even rise to the leadership of the party? Well, a lot of people thought Bo was a shoo-in to get that position during a once-in-a-decade transition of power last November at the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party. Except since February of 2012, the dominoes already started tumbling down. That's when Wang Lijun, Bo Xilai's chief of police in Chongqing, fled to a U.S. consulate and divulged, well, it's still classified by the U.S. State Department. But whatever it was, Wang was trying to use it to get asylum. But police promptly surrounded the consulate, and the U.S. handed him over. At the time, there were rumors that Bo Xilai and Zhou Yongkang staged a failed coup. Gunshots were heard near the Central Party compound in Zhongnanhai, and mysterious troop movements in Beijing were spotted. Bo Xilai was then expelled from the party and removed from the public eye. Then Bo's wife, Gu Kailai, went on trial for murdering a well-connected British businessman. Then Wang Lijun was convicted of abuse of power and defection. Then, just last month, Bo was put on show during his 5-day trial for corruption, and now finally Zhou is being investigated. If I were him, I'd be worried. But they aren't just going after him through Bo. For decades, Zhou was also a big shot in China's oil industry, and all of a sudden, some top officials from the China National Petroleum Corporation are being taken out, like former head Jiang Zemin. not to be confused with Jiang Zemin. He and Zhou were pretty buddy-buddy. Then on Tuesday, Jiang was sacked as head of the state asset watchdog just 2 days after state media reported he was being probed for corruption. This was after authorities said 4 other senior oil execs had been put under investigation. Looks like a net is being drawn pretty closely around Zhou. So what is the ultimate end game of this? Well, if there's any credence to the rumors that Bo and Zhou wanted to overthrow Xi Jinping, that's already plenty of motivation for Xi. But here's what I think. Xi has been given a golden opportunity. The Communist Party is breaking down. The economy is slowing down, there's a housing bubble that's about to burst, and corruption is just so systemic it can't be fixed. So what I would do is go after Jiang Zemin next. He was the ringleader of all of them. Drop all this talk of investigating corruption. Bring out everything about the crimes of humanity those guys were involved in, forced organ harvesting, the genocide of Falun Gong, all the other crimes of the party. Saddle them with that. Xi can then paint himself as the great reformer people have looked to him to be, who tried to fix the system but it was just too broken to fix. Everyone would flip out and that would be the end of one-party rule. So who's going to run things next? Well, how about the guy who already has the military and police on his side and just help the country get free of the Communist Party? I mean, who wants to be the captain of a sinking ship? Of course, whether Xi has what it takes to start things anew is questionable. If anything, since he came to power, he's just taken steps to further reinforce the party's control, like start an anti-corruption campaign to make the CCP look good, but also crack down on lawyers and dissidents who criticize the party. In either case, I expect we'll soon be seeing the trial of Zhou Yongkang. What happens after that? Well, you've heard what I have to think. What do you think? Leave your comments below or check out the Facebook page and follow me on Twitter for more. Check back again for daily new episodes of China Uncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.